This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
All right, what's up, people of the Dragon? This is Steven, your host with Fantology Podcast. I have my lifelong friends Jake, Ben, and Josh on, and we're gonna do a little Wheel of Time Season 3 primer, watch the trailer, react to the trailer. We'll start without doing any spoilers of the books. This Season 3, as we understand it, is going to be mostly pulled from the events of Book 4, The Shadow Rising, and then kind of later on, we'll let you know we're gonna, we want to discuss a little bit about what happened in that book and what we're hoping to see in the season. So we will go into spoilers, but we'll let you know when. But for now, just to kick it off, we're gonna just kind of do some reactions to the first two seasons, what we liked about the series, where we hope it's going, and then we'll watch the trailer and go from there.
Yeah, sounds good. And I actually have not seen the trailer yet, so I'm gonna be like blind reacting for
Live
the first time
reaction.
here. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I think general impressions of this show so far is, I think it's fair to say we're all a little bit disappointed that it's not like like a great S tier adaptation, right? I
Yeah.
think we have within that, I think that there's some disagreement amongst us with how good we think it is. But I think we can all agree it's not like a, you know, everything gets controlled compared to like Game of Thrones. It's not like a Game of Thrones adaptation or even like an Expanse adaptation where like the majority of, from what I understand of the Expanse, like a majority of fans are like pretty happy with the adaptation. I think it's like even like a step lower than that. So, from my experience of the show so far.
Yeah, there's been a pretty massive divide in the fan base between people who are appalled at the existence of the show and wish that it had never happened to those that really seem to genuinely love it and just want it as much as they can get, and those that are like, I'm glad that it exists because it's fun to watch. However, like it's not amazing, and I feel like that's kind of where we are. Like we're glad that it exists, and I've enjoyed watching. But like there's certainly things that are like, really?
Yeah, I go
Yeah.
back and forth whether I'm glad it exists or not.
I think for me, one thing is like Mackenzie, my wife, like she read I made her kind of like listen to the first book on like a road trip, most of it, and then she finished it. But I don't think there's any way she's making it through the series. But she has enjoyed watching the show. So for me, it's like fun that she now at least like knows the characters that I talk about and like and love. And even if they're not like one-to-one, you know, perfect representations, it's still fun that I get to talk about like Rand and Perrin and Egwene and like get to she at least knows what I'm talking about and can kind of know the essence of their character.
Yeah, I have a buddy who it's was put off from reading the books from watching the first two episodes of season one.
Oh,
So
oof.
Do I know
yeah,
who that is?
yeah, it was Craig. Shout out Craig,
Uh,
our friend
Oh,
Craig.
Jake's friend Craig.
Dang.
He did just finish Best Served Cold though, so
Okay.
Oh,
getting
very
into
nice.
fantasy somehow.
Another thing we're hoping gets an adaptation for,
I
although
was gonna
no
say
Yeah.
news there
you
for a
decided to
while.
beat the adaptation this time. Jake's like, if I can't beat him,
No,
then
oh no, he's actually I can't believe I forgot. He read the first trilogy and then read Best Served Cold for
oh, very nice.
Nice.
Abercrombie. So yeah, he's
Yeah.
diving in.
Yeah, I think our thoughts on the first two seasons are definitely out there. We've done some reviews there, and yeah, like could it be better for sure. I guess moving forward to kind of like think about season 3 here, which is what we want the bulk of this episode to be about. How could season 3 be better in like significant ways that bring all of our reviews of the show, opinions of the show up?
I think they need better pacing. I think that was the biggest weakness of season two and some of season one, where it was just like season two, I felt like character arcs were meandering until they finally had something to do. And I think you need to have that tension episode to episode, like be really excited to see the progression. And it doesn't mean
Mhm.
like amazing things have to happen the whole time, but I have to feel like people are progressing. I feel like in the middle of season two, it was like the characters are kind of going back to what they were before or just like randomly find themselves at the last episode in a position where they can do something as opposed to like that full journey throughout. And I
Huh.
think book
You have
four,
you have very similar thoughts about Rings of Power.
oh yeah, Rings of Power was also very Rings of Power, I think was probably, I don't know, I haven't seen season two in a minute. I think I would say Rings of Power was worse that way, where it's just like, do something already. But maybe not. I'd have to
It's like
watch
the
them back to
that
back.
meme with the stick of like do
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah. But I think book four has some good material for that. For all characters involved. I do kind of worry about maybe Matt's arc. But
Yeah, in preparing for this, he was the main character that I'm like, what are they gonna do with him? Like,
and
because
I
in the
I
book he has things to do, but it's kind of redundant with
yeah.
what other characters are doing, so it may be tough to make that work on TV.
Yeah. And I think that was his big issue in season two as well. Like the Matt character has just kind of unfortunately not
Yeah,
had a great time to shine yet.
yeah.
In my opinion, his like time to shine starts in book three, but they basically cut all of that out of season two.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's a challenge for season three.
I think some positive things that they're moving in the right direction in season two. I think that their set design was a lot better from what I remember. I think that they kind of got rid of like the overly sterile look that was going on in season one. I think that they had like better lighting and like you could actually maybe see some fires flickering instead of like you can tell that like the whole thing's just perfectly lit from an overhead light. So I feel like they've kind of listened to feedback and incorporated that in season two. And for me, season three needs to like do more of that. You know what I mean? Like have um just more kind of realistic looking set pieces and stuff. Um I don't know, that's kind of a random critique, but it goes
Draw you
a
in
long way
more.
towards the believability. Yeah.
Feel more authentic. Feel like because I mean, again, to compare to Game of Thrones, like their sets were awesome. It made you feel like you were in this like grungy, quasi
Yeah.
medieval time, and Wheel of Time is very different. It's almost like I mean, it's still very medieval, but it's a little more vibrant in general, and it's a tough look to capture because there are all of these different cultures spread out across across Randland and
But
they're all very different and you would think that you would be able to do it but I can understand that it is a challenge.
see, to me it's tough because they actually did a good job with like all the costume designing and stuff. It was more like I don't know, like they just like the design was there and the creativity was there, but it would just came off as very sterile, like in the actual final product. Like I'm not even saying they redesign the costumes and stuff or the sets. I'm saying that they just need to find a way to make it look
Mm.
like that people are actually like in those sets and in those
Like
costumes
this
instead of
to
having
convince
it
you the cities are really big and there
right.
are the stakes
So
are really high and there are a lot of the fate of the
so
land is up for grab like
so
things like that, yeah.
yeah.
So something interesting, and we're not like videographers, or none of us have a lot of experience, but I was watching like a video that was kind of talking about this on why so many shows just look really sterile like that. And one point that they brought up is like in order to cut people, like in order to even do like the green screen, it needs to be pretty well lit so that you can cut out, like you can do the, what do you call it when you snip the like person out from the background,
Mm.
and so that you can
Yeah,
put like
Canva
CG,
has this feature. I know what you're
yeah,
talking about.
so that you can, but like
That
the
was a joke, but
rotoscoping
yeah.
when you like rotoscope like people out and stuff, and it needs to be like well lit. So studios have just been more and more like just lighting everything really well so that they can go in and do the CGI shots behind
Mm.
the characters, but then there's no depth, there's no like imagination, there's no like it almost doesn't even matter how it's shot because so much of it is going to be CGI'd, and what is real just looks bad because it's being sacrificed to put like the
Yeah.
CGI aspects behind it.
Mm.
So like
Was
I think that
this
yeah, this wasn't specifically about Wheel of Time. This was just about kind of like filmmaking in general. But
was this the one talking about like transitioning from film to digital? Is that the
He did
the
talk. He
video,
started out
Yosh?
with talking about like Parent
Dang, I
Trap.
watched
Yeah.
the same thing. Oh, I
Yeah,
like the Parent
yeah,
Trap one.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
yeah,
how that
yeah.
YouTube knows
I
all
watched
those things
that
well.
yesterday or today. Yeah, that's so funny.
You
I
guys
watched
are
it a
in the
few weeks
same
ago.
YouTube
So.
algorithm for
Yeah,
sure.
we
We
are. We
do.
overlap so much. Um, I I will I don't know enough about that stuff. I do agree. I thought the costumes for the most part have looked great. I think some of the styles of them I'm like I don't get. Like I didn't like the Soldam mouthpieces and
Some of the
the
Shanshan stuff was maybe a little over the top for me, but in
and like
general, like it
Lanfear's
like looked cool.
dream
Yeah.
outfit looked weird. Other than that, it's like I thought it looked good. I you mentioned like the small like make it feel like big cities. I don't think the budget's there for making things look as big as we need. I think you can like pretty much every shot feels like it's the same size room when they're in a room.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I don't think you need a big budget to do that. Like you just have a cool establishing shot and
yeah.
then you film it. Like again, and I don't know enough about filming, but you just film it in such a way where it's you have to convince
That
the
I
view
don't
like no
I don't
show
know.
has a budget to, bring in
that
an entire city
that,
and
I
yeah.
that's one thing I was.
But if you remember the first episode, remember they talked about how they built the entire city and then burned it all down.
Maybe.
So it's like
yeah,
they
that's
Well, that was Two Rivers. That's a village. That's not
okay.
as hard to
What?
convince me about. It's
So
a
so one
village.
thing. One thing I've been thinking about this because I've been rewatching Game of Thrones, and they would do what Steven says. They would have an establishing shot of like Hearth or whatever, and it didn't even look that great a lot of the time. Like you could tell it was like you could totally tell it was fake and everything. But
Hmm.
like then they just had like cool interior shots with like cool architecture and just the establishing shots combined with the architecture of whatever like inside soundstage or whatever they're shooting on or what castle or wherever they're at. Like the combination of those really I think did a good job. And I don't think there's really any reason why like budget constraints would prevent, Wheel of Time doing something like that, especially because frankly they have a higher budget than most of the first few seasons of Game of Thrones had.
yeah, maybe I don't know. I just feel like like we'll get to the trailer, but even in the trailer, there's like some fight scenes, things that look like fight scenes in rooms, and the rooms look like the same size room. Like they all look. It's like when they have a room, it's like they have one stage where they can film it, and I just assume that was a budget constraint. Maybe it is a skill issue. I don't know.
For
Anyway,
me,
all right.
I think the biggest potential for season three to be better is if they can stick to the book material a little more. I mean, I understand you cannot stick exactly to the book material when you're adapting to screen. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I think in this case, book four is really the best of the Wheel of Time books, in my opinion. And there is
We
so
know from
much
our previous
potential.
episode that book four
I was gonna.
was victorious. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the Shadow Rising is awesome, and several characters have great arcs within that would really be, just awesome stories if they just kind of stick to it. Like, just kind of keep it simple. Don't overthink things too much. I think Matt will be a challenge, and maybe we'll talk about that more when we get into spoilers for what we're looking for in the books. But like Perrin and Rand, especially, like they can tell a great story with those specific sequences.
Yeah, as someone who's the biggest critic of the TV show, to Steven's point, I do think generally it'd be better to stick to the book material, but I don't think changes from the book material are inherently bad. I've just been so like confused that like there's so many changes that happened that were worse. Like were just objectively worse. I'm like, what? Like if you just stuck to
Yeah.
the book, it would have been fine. Like change it, for whatever reason you need to, but generally you should change it if it's going to streamline things or like accentuate character arcs better or things like that. But instead, I feel like so many of the changes were like, how this doesn't even this makes it like objectively worse. So
Okay.
if you
So speaking about streams, what's our over under on if we're going to get another establishing shot of Lan peeing?
did we get it in both
Well,
seasons?
I don't think we got it in both seasons. I think it was just season two.
I
yeah,
didn't even remember
probably no more urinating. I would think no
we
more
got a bath
urinating.
scene in season one. I think
Oh,
we
that's
see
true.
a
In the
yeah.
trailer, there's like a sweat tent or whatever they call it.
Oh man, now I'm
Yeah,
realizing
we're
that.
So let's watch the trailer. Let's watch it live here. I'll screen share, and Ben's gonna get his first look at it.
Should we
and
pause? Are we going to be
we'll
pausing
react
and
accordingly.
commenting on it, or are we just watching it straight
I think
through?
we pause and comment so we don't
I
get
think it'll
hit.
flag us if
Yeah.
we just watch it straight through.
Okay, here we go.
The world is changing.
So like that shot, I think one thing in season 3 we're gonna see is more like dream sequences, specifically with potential for Ruidian, and let's see if I can freeze it. Like like obviously this is not like Rand as we know him.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
But
Yeah.
I do appreciate that it does look like there's a little bit of dirt there, There's
Yeah, I think the outside shots have always been pretty cool. In a
yeah,
long
that's
time.
true. They've always gone
Yeah.
to like they have cool locations.
and I should shout out. I watched Lauren's Unraveling the Pattern video for the trailer beforehand, and he dives much more in depth onto the trailer. So check out his video for sure. Probably a lot of my points are going to be regurgitated from him, but definitely check out that video, which just dropped earlier today as we're recording, but will have been last week at time of release. But yeah, he was thinking this was probably a mad version of Rand from a vision, or possibly possibly Egwene's accepted test, where she's seeing other possibilities.
Are we getting into spoilers here?
Um, yeah, should we still not? I
Well,
don't
I
know.
think-
It's kind of
If we are, I just had something more explicitly spoiler.
No, let's avoid spoilers until after we watch the trailer.
okay.
I
Then
think. And then
I
we
feel
can
like we're
discuss.
not gonna. Okay, so stopping is gonna be non-spoilers. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Yep.
A tide sweeping us along against our control.
Okay,
Some
we got
cool-
different color weaves, which people were very concerned about in season 1. I do think that they look good, you know, like the weaves themselves. I think they look good.
I mean, this whole scene looks pretty
Yeah.
cool. This is hinting at some big events that we're not going to spoil, but has a lot of potential here.
Yeah.
We cannot stand behind these walls and pretend we still
Gosh,
have
how's the
control.
architecture?
Architecture's looking good.
This tower is destroying itself from the inside out.
If the White Tower does not bend the knee to Rand al'Thor, he will lose the last battle.
Another some mysterious musings there, and then another pretty big looking fight. This looks more like a Two Rivers-esque kind of season 1 fight location type of thing.
Talking about bending the knee. So,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That
strong
also
reference.
Yeah, okay.
There's not enough air in the world to deal with this.
They'll just come for Rand. They'll come for all of us.
That's Gideon, by the way. This
Oh,
this
nice.
character
Oh.
who we saw just like briefly, right at the
very
end of
end.
season 2,
yeah.
is here with this is Nynaeve.
Nice.
We're going to the last place anyone would ever look for me.
You do not belong here.
Our people have been waiting for the Karakarn's arrival. Do you think it might be you?
Each step forward is a step backwards through time.
Do you love her?
What did you
Definitely this is probably my most anticipated part of the season, and I'm glad that this is the whole rings scene here is confirmed to be happening.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is going to be hard to adapt. And I think if I was thinking about, especially after season 1, like I would have thought that this might be something that they like try and work around, but
Hmm.
I am happy that they're including it. Yeah.
But after this, when we get into spoilers, I'll tell you how Lauren thinks they're doing it.
Okay.
What did you see in the rings?
In every future where I lived, Rand dies. And the only way
Those are
he
some cool
lives
trailer shots, man. I'm not gonna lie.
is if I don't.
Spinning around to different realities,
Yeah,
and
it looks
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, I like that they're really leaning. I mean, this is a huge part of Wheel of Time is the different realities and the prophecies and visions, and like this is like it's a massive part of the series, and uh, definitely appreciated that they are. It seems strongly going in this direction.
We don't win battles with politics and prophecies.
So we do have these characters.
Yeah, there we go.
Where are we at here? Yeah, zoom in on this beautiful man. Yeah, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that, the Trakand family and specifically Galad and Gowan are in the season.
Nice.
And
It's
specifically
thinking of
this scene,
yeah,
Is
yeah.
that
yeah,
is that the quarterstaff scene?
seems
Assuming
to be.
so.
Seems to be, yeah.
And
Like,
if so, that is
well,
I would say if so that like maybe they will give Matt a little more to do this season.
yeah.
So
We win with armies.
Get ready!
Oh, dude, this is gonna be good, man.
Loose!
This character is, if I can zoom, yeah, this is Fail.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
All
I
right.
wonder how they're gonna bring her in.
Yeah. I think they're gonna close the loop on the whole parent wife thing, which was a failure, but and then yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I mean this looks like it could be cool. Like kind of I don't know, the scale I think it's about right for what they're trying to show, which is, not a massive battle, but yeah.
I think it's smart to position it. At least it looks like, I don't know if this is going to be the whole battle, but I think having it in a more confined space, like in a canyon like this, I can't remember exactly how it goes down in the book, but I think that's a smart move for filming it.
Archers! Loose!
Make them believe in you, and they will follow you to the ends of the earth.
This is what I was born to do.
Yeah.
We get into spoilers.
Okay, so there's our trailer. Should we go into spoilers now?
Yeah. I
Book
think.
spoilers. Book 4 spoilers only. No further. There is one thing that I want to bring up that I'm not going to say specifically, but I'm going to kind of hint at it enough so you know what it is. But yeah. Okay, so
Yeah,
thoughts. Ben, you just saw it, so let's start with your rapid reaction.
So first of all, I realize I want to listen or read the book before watching the season. I try and do that next.
Get going.
I know. I got a couple weeks, or I got like basically a month to do that. I can do that, but it is getting me a lot more hyped. That trailer is hyping me up right now because before watching that, I was pretty like, oh, I'll watch it when I can, but now I'm like, dang, let's get back into this Wheel of Time phase. I will say that it seems like such a hard balance to walk between being like really leaning into the fantasy book elements versus making it accessible to a whole lot of people. And I think that at least from the vibes I'm getting from that trailer, they're leaning more towards the fantasy elements and just kind of trusting that the audience can follow along with that, which I think is opposite
to what they did the first season and most of the second season. So that's kind of my general impressions from watching that trailer. So hype
Mm.
and hopefully leaning more into the fantasy elements.
No more hand holding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's season 3 into a fantasy show, so hopefully you're
So
okay
if
with
you're
that if you're watching
stuck
it.
on board, yeah. What about you guys?
I mean, with a trailer, I feel like a trailer should always be good because it's just an accumulation of probably the coolest shots from your entire show or movie. And if your trailer does not convince me or like make me want to watch your show, then your show is probably not great or definitely not for me. So like yeah, the trailer's cool. Will all the other things that we talked about earlier, like will those things be better? To be, TBD. But in watching Lauren's Unraveling the Pattern video breaking down the trailer, it did make me very excited because it feels like I said earlier, it feels like they are following a lot of the things that happen in book 4. And again, I think that the show could be really good if they do that.
Yeah, I'm I don't know. I'm about the same excited as I was prior to seeing it. I do think it seems like what they're trying to say or trying to show to be like the main conflict, and we're going into spoilers. Um,
Yeah.
is it seems like it's going to have a like end with something from book 5 as the climax.
Do you
Um,
think, yeah, so that was one of my things, and we're not going to
yeah,
spoil that event, but you think
yeah,
we'll just say the doorway docks scene, like
yeah. I don't
you
know if they'll
think
do it that
that, like,
way
but
exactly,
that
but
thing,
yeah,
the results of that, you think that's going to happen?
yeah. Um, maybe not, but just based on what the trailer was hyping up, like Moraine thinking she needs to sacrifice herself, like I could see that being like, and then also Egwene asking Rand, do you love her? Like I feel like that's all leading up to that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious how they're going to like there's just so much they'd be trying to accomplish if they did that. Like all the politicking with the Aiel. There's going to be some Dream World stuff. I'm hoping the Dream World stuff is just very introductory, just like
Mm.
barely touching on it because I don't know if they really have time to do all of that with everything else that's happening. And
Lauren
then
pointed out that whenever you see that like kind of pixelated like dissipating special effect, that is a sign of a dream world. So
I have to go back and watch that.
there was that scene with Egwene where she looked to be a Damani again, and then she was like disappearing. Like so there
Mhm.
were several things in the trailer that looked to be dream world type of things.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how they have time to fit that in. And then with Mogadian in there too, like
Hmm.
yeah, I wonder if Matt will have book 3 type plot arc, but in
And
Tanchico in
Tenchiko.
this.
Mm.
But then how is he going to get from the waist to Tanchico? I don't know. Because
I don't think he's going to the waste.
he
And
has the Foxhead medallion in the promo art.
yeah, that was pointed out, but he could pick that up in a different way, right?
Yeah, sure. It'd be really disappointing. It's a whole like
I don't
key
think
part
we
of his
saw him
character.
in the waist in any of the shots in the trailer. I
Jake's
mean,
getting prematurely
he
disappointed by
could
this
be there,
show.
but
I can't believe they didn't stick to the book
I
as
mean, it
much as they
seems like
should
the
have.
snakes
Well,
and foxes thing is probably not happening.
if they, I mean, are we not all in agreement that that is a fundamental part of his character
Yeah,
in the
like
book?
going forward, it's like it really does that really
Like
is
if
who his
the
character is based off of the events that transpire there with his memories and yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, but there's
yeah,
no like I don't know why they couldn't do some plot device to have it happen in Tenchiko
They would be
yeah, I'm not.
fundamentally changing his character like
if they
for the
didn't do
rest
that.
of the show if they don't do it. Like they could make a new character, but his
So
character relies
has,
upon these things happening.
you're saying he has a doorway experience in Tanchico.
Why not? I mean, well, I know that there are reasons why not. I mean, but
Yeah, I guess maybe you could do that. I'd rather them do that than not do it at all, for sure. Yeah.
It does seem tough, like from a storytelling point of view in this season of TV, if he's just there in the Ideal Waste, but the story is mostly Rand and Egwene, and Rand and Matt is just kind of there, like doing this subplot that also gets a lot of time. Like I could see that maybe not being tough on TV.
Yeah, I think he has three options. He's either just a very side character in the Waste, or he is a like book three plot in Tanchico,
Hmm.
or he's like book five plot in the Waste, which I don't know if they have time for all like that'd kind of be rushing his plot from book five.
Mm.
But
I mean, that gets me into a broader question with the whole series is like, what are their plans going forward? Because we're through 4 books, it's 14. If if the show continues to get renewed and it makes it all the way to the end of the series, like do they do that in 6 or 7 seasons? And then that means we are suddenly massively compressing events
Yeah,
through
I
books
don't know if you
5
guys
through
know this though.
14. Like
There is
that's
this thing called the slog, and the
well, yeah, but there's still a lot
the
of things that
slog is
happen. So
one book, Ben.
you just
The
have to
slug is
cut it
not one
like
book.
you
It's
just
book
have to
10.
you have to go in with a massive
Yeah,
tractor and
obviously.
like pull stuff out of there. Like there's
Yeah,
so much that would have to change.
I mean, look, I hope that they get 2 more seasons and that they're able to just kind of speed run it.
Wait, you mean two
You th
seasons after this? So 3 seasons, like from this point? Like,
Yeah,
so you
I
think
hope that
five
there's five.
seasons,
I think 5 or 6 seasons.
5 seasons for the whole series?
Five
I don't
seasons
think
in a
that they're
movie?
getting. Yeah, 5 seasons
Six
in a movie.
seasons.
Six
Six
seasons.
seasons.
I
Okay,
don't
six
think. Look,
seasons. Dang it.
I don't think that they're getting to season 6. So I hope that they just find a way to.
That's
Do you
not
think
like I
do you
don't
think they're
see that
not
being
planning for that,
possible.
or they'll get
I don't
canceled?
know. I, look, they've already. What did it say? It's in the trailer, and we'll keep things super super vague. But in the trailer, like mentions the last battle, like they're already planting seeds of like position, like getting ready
They've
for the
talked about
last
the
battle.
Yeah,
last
they talk
battle
about the
since
last
season
battle
one.
through
I
in the
know,
books
but
they
like
talk about it for forever. Like
I know they
Well,
do.
they did in
I know
season
they
one.
have
That was
the
the
whole
whole.
thing.
That's the whole point of the
Look,
Dragon Reborn.
look, I know, but the way that they've introduced, like especially the way that they introduced all the Forsaken at the ending of last season, I think that they're just kind of positioning it so that they can do it in a few more seasons. That they can like go through some of the Forsaken, that they can go through some of the big plot
I just don't even
points.
see how the characters can get to the point where they're at the end of the book series without having at least like 6 or 7 seasons. I mean, yes, there's a lot of stuff you could cut, but if you want the characters to arrive at the same point that they do at the end of the book series, and you want that progression to make sense, you do need time to do some things. You can't just cut everything and say the last battle is now happening.
yeah, but I mean, 30 hours of TV, you can do a lot of stuff, if we're assuming 3 more seasons.
I would say based on the what is it, 20 hours we've gotten so far, like the pacing is not
They would need
on
to
point for them.
drastically change the pacing,
Yeah.
and they would need to cut a lot.
Yeah.
I will
Anyway, I mean,
say
I guess we're getting a
something.
little off topic and shooting a little far afield, but it is something I think about because season 3 is fairly straightforward, and it seems that they're mostly following book 4, and book 4 is great. But then
But
what?
what's next? Yeah.
One thing season three has going for it that they could do better than season two is a more uh not simple, but that works as well. Just a more straightforward plot and conflict. I feel like season two is a little it's a little more book two is a little more convoluted, season two as well, whereas book four is really, and even the way that it seems like my prediction of how they're teeing up like the main conflict at the end, it's a little more straightforward and grounded. Like you don't need big insight into like the fantasy elements of the world or the magic to understand like the conflicts at play there.
Mm.
Um, so maybe like I think that is a pro in terms of like the pacing, like an advantage they have over the prior seasons. So,
And it seems like there's four main events that they're, or maybe not events, but there's four main storylines they're pursuing. One is the
hmm
White Tower
hmm
upheaval and Black Aja rise. The other is, well, I mean, maybe Black. I don't know how like far they're gonna. They do have Elida as a character, so it'll be interesting to see what they do there. But Leandrin has also been like really propped up a lot in the TV show, so will be interesting to see how they do that. And then Rand in the Isle Waste with Egwene there as well. So that thing is, I think that's going to be like the main focus, because Rand still is mostly the main character. There's Tenchiko. We got several shots of that. And then finally, Perrin off in the Two Rivers. So it seems like the characters are very much separated, but they all are more focused on like their individual missions, and they could have great arcs within that. And so I think the potential is there. They're going to start
hmm
together and then separate out, and then they're not going to come together again at the end of the season, I would assume.
Yeah, I feel like they can only have the first episode together. Like they have to figure out a way to get them
Hmm.
on their own done well as fast as possible. I think the best I think they'd have a better chance of a well-paced season if they didn't finish everybody's plot arcs 100% this season. Like I don't know if there's enough time to do all of those arcs justice if you're splitting 10 hours, you know? Um,
I think you
I don't
have
know.
to. Like,
You have
I,
to
I think you have. I
like
think you have to have a season that's complete. And also, if you like, they do
well you can
want to move forward with the show. Like, they can't be slogging. They gotta knock the
well
stuff
I'm
out.
yeah, but it's like do you want to knock stuff out to knock it out or do you want to tell the story well?
This is
And
like
I
circling
think
back to our very beginning conversation of Jake Niven being sure that he wants this adaptation to exist.
thus far it hasn't been done well.
Or
So
just dudes like, let's just get the whole thing out there and you know.
um but I think there are ways where you could like in Parents plot at a more of a cliffhanger part in that arc that would still feel like some sort of satisfaction to his arc. Wouldn't just feel like, oh, and then
Mhm.
we stopped it. It'd be like, okay, this is carrying on to next season. Same with, I think you'd say the same with the Tanchico stuff, maybe. Although that one they could condense pretty hard, I guess.
Yeah.
Depends on how much they want to show there. Um, and yeah, and the White Tower as well. I mean, ideally they only have to go up until the coup, right? That's all they have to go up to get
And
some
that
sort of
that
satisfaction.
seems like that might be the first episode or second episode. Like, that seems like a natural
Yeah,
big
that's happening
kickoff
fast.
point, and then everyone splits off from there. Because they're in
Really?
Tar-Valon. They show the characters in
You think so?
Tar-Valon. Like,
Yeah.
that's where they're at when they're drinking, and
So you
Perrin,
think
Matt,
Egwene's
and
line,
Rand are hanging out.
so you think Egwene's line of like the tower's eating itself and or whatever she says, you think that's in episode one, and at the end of that episode, the coup happens?
I don't know. Lauren couldn't figure out how that line fits in, but I think her accepted test is probably in episode one.
So she has the accepted test and the coup happens in episode one. That doesn't sound like good writing. I'm not saying that wouldn't happen, but
Well, I mean, they could split. They just need a way to make Rand think I've got to go off to the waste.
I do think that is the tower dividing in episode one is a good reason for everyone to split right away. Um, I'm just trying to fit the other parts of it in there
It's
and
like,
have the quarter staff scene. It's just so much
yeah,
to put in one episode.
So much good things, man. The accepted test, while the accepted test is going on, the quarterstaff scene
I
happens,
mean, you
comes
you
out
also
the
need a
plot.
reason. You need a reason for the girls to run off to
Tenchiko.
Tinchiko as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, dude,
No,
this is looking to
Okay.
be a
I
great first episode.
I think the tower
We're
dividing
averaging a book per episode at this point.
gives great motivation and like a great jumping point. I'm just out of all the things we've seen in the trailer, I'm trying to think how do you fit that all in one episode? But I guess we'll see. Apart from that, then like, do they really need to go further with the tower plot? I think that's as far
I
as they
don't
need to
think
go.
so.
So
Yeah.
that saves up a lot of time then. So it's really just
Yeah. Okay.
three
So
arcs.
so yeah. So maybe they could split up some of the tower scenes into later episodes as long as they can come up with a convincing way to split all the other characters off into what they would need to
Or
do.
not, or not, and then we don't really need to see any more from the tower after episode one. You
Mm.
know, like whatever happens to everyone else there could be
Just kind of go dark
left
there
over
for a
for
while.
season 5 or season 4. Yeah, I think
Mm.
that
But
works. And that's
they have to introduce Elida as a new character and then
all in episode
also
one.
yeah, like it's a lot. Like Josh, yeah,
Oh,
that's a lot in
like
episode one,
Josh says
Josh.
though, like Josh says, the more
Just
you do, the better
pack
it
it
is. It
in
doesn't matter
there.
how fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just check
Hey,
the boxes off.
hey, I'm just saying. You go back and watch a lot of these Game of Thrones episodes, and a lot of like the big episodes had a lot happening in them. You know,
Yeah,
like
I'm not worried about a lot happening. I'm worried at how well a lot happening will be
It's
written
gotta
and
be
yes,
produced.
we
it's
know
gotta be
you're worried
set up
about it,
so when it
Jake. I'm
happens it
just
makes
saying.
sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We know Game of Thrones has done that. We know Game of Thrones has done it well. We know Game of Thrones has done it poorly in season 8. Like,
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good
A
point.
lot happens in season 8. A
yeah.
lot of people were not satisfied with that.
And to your and I need to this was like this is before we at least I
Wait,
was
Jake,
recording on
can you pause
Fantology.
and have Emily bring you a soapbox?
No, Emily's out of town. Otherwise she would. Um I will say when the first episode of season 8 came out, I remember telling you guys, I'm like, that was okay. I'm concerned how this is going to be the final season. We spent a whole episode on this.
You did. You did in fact
And you
tell us
guys are like,
that.
no, 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 it's going to be great.
You did. That
Just
that was
saying,
true.
Mm.
my
We need
sense
to
for
see some
pacing.
receipts on that conversation, Jake.
No, I remember this conversation.
That's true.
I remember it well.
Jake is always a
Josh is implicating himself.
Jake the pessimist. Turns out
No,
he's right more often
was
than
that
not.
was that a pessimistic take or was that a realistic take?
You have to be
One and the same.
In today's world, maybe.
So the thing that Lauren pointed out, and I think will be really interesting to see, is going back to the Ruidian sequence, right? They show Yosha, the actor for Rand, in a lot of different guises really quick. They're shots through,
Mhm.
and they don't really make sense as like the present day narrative, but the thought is that he's going to like play himself in all of his past ancestors that he
Mm.
sees, going all the way back to the ancestor that he sees when when we see the opening in
Breaking.
the Darklands
Yeah.
prison
Or
in the
the
boar
boar.
with Lanfear, who's also in that shot. There's the shot where he's like walking through this like futuristic looking place, and there's a little
With the
tree
trees.
that
Yeah.
yeah, the little tree, right? And so like all this, it seems like, and there's also the shot where they're like the big harvesting looking thing, which is probably the Aiel back in the day, right? And so
Mhm.
that's what I'm most excited to see, that this whole sequence and just like the lore and learning about how it all comes together. Like I hope they do that really well.
Yeah.
You guys may
Also,
need to refresh on
great
that, Ben and Josh.
yeah.
great
That's what I'm saying.
opportunity for Perrin's character. Perrin's character has been kind of done dirty
Yeah.
the first two
I will
seasons.
agree. I will agree with
So
that.
hopefully this is done super well. No idea how you, like you said, how are they going to tie off the dead wife thing? Like that was that served a purpose for one episode and none.
There's a
Oh,
shot-
you're right, man.
there's a shot where
You're
he's in,
proven
like,
right
this-
on that as well.
This kind of grave site looking thing where there's a bunch of like white flowers. It looks like he's
Yeah.
probably revisiting, or maybe he's visiting his family's. Like, will his family be killed? Or wait, did his family get killed already in the show? I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Oh, in the show,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Anyway,
think so.
in the book, that's he comes back and his family's been killed by the
Yeah.
invading army. So I think they'll make that like his, I don't know, maybe put a bow around the whole wife thing and then kind of move
Yeah.
into start a Fael romance. But how does Fael get there? I mean, honestly, in the book, Fael joining up was
Just happens.
I mean,
yeah.
it just kind of coincidence, but it happened back in book 2, and obviously we didn't see her in season 2.
or book 3.
Or wasn't she part of the Great Hunt?
She was a hunter for the horn, but she wasn't part of book 2.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I mixed up the hunt things. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think the way I can see it best case is she's introduced, like maybe she happens to be there because she's looking for the horn, random reason, doesn't really matter. Like they could just the
Yeah.
same way write her in to meet, but I really don't want any big progression in their romance arc in this season. I think this season should be what
Could
lays the
be rushed.
groundwork.
Yeah.
Yeah. This season needs to be what lays the groundwork for their relationship moving forward. Like give them
Yeah.
some time, like let her to be the support to him and like because they'd already known each other for quite a bit. Well, I mean not a ton, but
In
like
the
they had
books
a
at that point, yeah.
yeah. They had
They
a history together at that point.
yeah. Yeah, Perrin already had feelings for her that he was trying to sort through, and there was the whole scene where he freed her in the Stone of Tyr and like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you,
So
you think Matt kind of coming to the rescue
for
is a
Tenchiko.
possible arc for his character in Tenchiko?
Yeah. Maybe Rand discovers traveling a lot sooner and they go through the arcs, something happens there, or maybe through Egwene's dreams, they're made aware what's gonna happen, and then they just say like, hey, someone needs to help him out. We'll send Matt over. I don't know. Would that be so bad? As opposed to
Yeah.
just going with them the whole time. Going with them the whole time and finding a doorway there. Maybe he finds the doorway in Moghedion's trinkets. It's just in her room. She has
In
it.
this show, I mean, he's like got this connection to Min, and Min was a dark friend of in this show, right? Like she was like being
Don't remind me.
reporting back to Ishamael,
Yeah.
who, is maybe dead. And so like Moghedien is now the new big bad leader of the Forsaken. I do think the show kind of needs to like establish the stakes once again, like because it seemed like we defeated the Dark One. Like the show was telling us that Ishamael was the Dark One. They need to explain a little bit of what's going on here. Otherwise, it seems like we won in season 2, right? Which to be fair is kind of the vibe of the books, but
That was the
Yeah.
vibe of the books. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get that explanation at the end of book 3 or the beginning of, yeah, I think the end of book 3, right after he thinks he kills the Dark One again.
I think it needs to be explained in the show.
Yeah.
Otherwise, viewers are going to be confused. They're like, when they're going to go back, they're going to refresh on season 2, and they're going to say, what are the stakes now? Because they just killed this dude who was the problem the whole time.
Yeah. Um, what if what if they send Matt to save Nynaeve from Moghedien? Like, what if he's the reason she comes out on top in that? That'd be kind of frustrating. I feel like people like Shad and the Night's Watch would love it that a man is saving a woman. But it does take away just because not for the misogynistic reasons, but I do agree like there was some like the final battle of season 2 was not done well at all with who was doing what. But um, so that would be like some retribution for people who had those critiques, but also stealing like one of the coolest moments away from Nynaeve.
Are you
Anyways,
seeing that Wheel of Time is gonna like pull a Facebook? Pull a Facebook.
You mean
Pull,
pull
no,
at every
pull a
tech giant?
Pull a Twitter or an X, like new president who dis that thing.
Yeah.
But,
All right.
What are
I don't know.
some like what are some
That's
individual
potential.
like I talked about really looking forward to the Rodian parts. What's the one thing you guys maybe after seeing the trailer are excited for, or from knowledge of the book, just like what's the one thing that you need to see and you need to see done well?
I really want to see the battle at the two rivers. Perrin.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite parts of the whole series, and it
Yeah.
looks like they're devoting some time to it. I want to see it done. Yeah.
Yeah. I I don't think they're gonna be able to recreate the Age of Legends the way I would like it to be done, but I'm excited like to see what info drops they can do there. Honestly,
So
the
you're
snakes and the
stealing mine.
foxes. No, no, no. I'm agreeing with yours. I unfortunately I think the snakes and the foxes would be like one of my top tier moments. Apart from
Jake
like,
just
Age of Legends.
setting it up for disappointment, man.
Yeah,
Like, oh, this might not
the books
happen.
themselves are setting the adaptation up for disappointment.
Oh man, I'm
Sorry
just
for
saying.
my shade, everyone.
I'm just saying. You come out saying like, "Oh, this scene's probably not going to happen," and then 20
When
minutes
did I see
later.
that? When did I say that?
No, I said that.
Oh, okay. Well,
Steven, I was saying I wonder how they're going to do this. Steven said it's probably not going to happen. Then I said, "Oh, that's a bummer." And you're like, "Jake's already disappointed." I'm like, "Well, yeah, if I'm told it's not going to happen."
I mean, I don't know anything. It just seems like there was nothing like that in the trailer, and I don't know how that fits into.
except for the Fox and Medallion.
Yeah, the Fox and Medallion is the thing in the poster. So
I don't know. For me, like I'll go back to I don't know if there's a specific event, but I do want them to like lean into like the fantasy heavy experiences with like the dream sequences and the alternate realities, kind of like what you were talking about in the beginning. I think that that's something that, like you said, we're 3 seasons in. People that are going to be watching the show have already kind of are devoted to it. So I think you know, let's start doing more of that.
yeah, I think that's very much the brand of the Wheel of Time. It's something that makes it different from other series, and you've got to include that. You can't have a Game of Thrones clone. And to their credit, I don't think they've made a Game of Thrones clone, but I would appreciate if they continue to lean into like what makes the series unique and its own thing and great.
Yeah, if anything, I'm not worried about the Game of Thrones clone. I'm honestly worried that the Rings of Power and Wheel of Time have too many similarities for it to be like just coincidence. You know what I mean? And that's what's been kind of throwing me through a loop.
What do you
I
mean by
mean, to be
that?
fair, like they haven't been coming out at the same time, and
No, they
I
haven't.
don't know. I would be hard pressed to agree with an argument that said the reason why Wheel of Time is struggling is because people are like too fantasied out with
No,
Rings
no,
of
I'm not saying
Power.
that. I'm not saying that.
Oh,
It almost seems like they've gone through the same filtering process. Like I don't know,
Like the
oh,
same
okay.
upper
They kind of
executive
look
saying,
similar. Yeah.
No,
right? They
there's
kind of look similar, similar feel, similar like content
It's
level,
like the
similar
same
like
studio, the same people are
right.
involved or whatever. And yeah.
I'd agree with that. I think I agree with that a lot. I do think they're trying to make Wheel of Time edgier than the Rings of Power. But other than that, yeah, I do kind of yeah.
I mean, edgier by like
More
they'd
sex
still both be
content.
like PG-13. There's not very much sex content so far in
I
the
don't
Wheel
know,
of
man. A
Time.
guy's head
There's
got shoved through a spike in season 2. That's pretty edgy.
there's more sexual content in Wheel of Time than
Still
Rings of
like
Power. I'm not
solidly
saying
like PG-13. Like Rings of Power is like PG. This is like PG-13.
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't say that there was like an
Yeah,
X
you're
rated.
right. I'm just
I'm just
no.
saying it's edgier.
I'm just saying
Josh.
if someone's like, oh, there's a pretty edgy fantasy series like with
I
sexual
didn't say
content,
I didn't say
I'd
pretty
be
edgy. I
like,
said I agree with the comparisons Ben was making.
You
The
just
only
said
difference
slightly
is
edgier, Josh. It's okay.
Sorry, stand down. Sorry.
Rings of Power is
you're right.
PG-13. Wheel of Time is PG-15. I don't know.
but yeah, I agree, Ben. It does seem like a lot of this like a lot of upper management
I think
involvement
Ben was
for both
talking
of
about
them.
like the actual like filtering of like the
No,
footage.
I think I was talking about that, but I was also talking about
Oh,
like it just seems like a lot of the decisions being made,
Yeah.
you can tell kind of apply to both.
I take it the same way you did, Jacob, being
Mm.
like notes from upper management of like,
Yeah.
okay,
that's what it
so
seems like to me.
yeah, just I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mm. So
Yeah.
it's not that Wheel of Time is a Game of Thrones clone. It's that Wheel of Time and Rings of Power
They're twins.
are too much
Yeah.
into each other. There's
So
some crossing the
speaking
lines
of
between the two.
speaking of Rings of Power, we find out there's going to be a time jump between season 2 and season 3. Do you
I
think
haven't watched
there's a
season 2 yet,
chance?
so don't spoil things.
Oh, I'm not. That
Okay.
just they've announced that with season 3 there's going to be a time jump, and they announced like the main conflict of
Mhm.
season 3. Do you think that's on the table for Wheel of Time? Do you think they'll do a time jump? This
I
would
think it
be
could be.
between season 3 and season 4. Wheel of Time could be the
I
time to
think
do a jump. I don't
I
know.
think here's what has to happen. they're gonna look at the numbers for season 3 Wheel of Time really hard and decide if they want to cancel the show or if they want to commit to finishing it. And I think if
Or
they
do
want
the
to commit
last
to finish
battle in
it,
season 4.
no. But if they want to commit to finishing it, I think like executives at Amazon or whatever are gonna have a hard time agreeing to saying we're gonna run this thing for 7, 8 seasons or whatever. And so they're gonna say, what if we compromise, do it for 5, maybe 6, and the way we'll get there with this story is we'll have a time jump.
This is exactly what I said. I said they're going to go for 2, maybe 3 more seasons.
The thing, yeah, but the argument against that was like we don't like that. I personally do not like
Yeah.
that. I think Jake
We were
was saying
saying
the
that would be
same.
we were saying that would be a disappointing conclusion.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not with them in saying that they should do this, but I think it is on the table.
I
As
think this
Jake
is
asked.
I think it's the best case. I think it either gets canceled after this season and we don't get a conclusion at all to the show, or it gets renewed for 2 more seasons, maybe 3, and we speed run the second half of the series.
But rather than
Second,
speed
third of
run,
it.
it's like a time jump.
Yeah, sure.
And then, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. We're going to obviously be jumping, like skipping a lot. Yeah.
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 Which I don't want to see, but I do not see it. I just don't see the reality of
Getting
the
10
8
10 to
seasons that they would
11.
have to have in order to really like line up all the events that we need to see happen in order for the ending of the season, or sorry, the ending of the series to make sense. I think that they would need that many seasons to go through like all the events that they need. And I just don't think that Amazon's going to do that.
Would you this might be more like an ending question, but would you rather not see the ending adapted or see it adapted rushed? Like if your only the option was we're gonna finish it in 5 or 6 seasons.
I'd rather see it
Or
rushed for
rather see it rushed.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, like I would like to see it. I don't know. It depends on like how terrible you're telling me it's going to be.
Just whatever you were thinking just then. For
I was
like
thinking
your
time
thoughts or
jump and
final.
then same quality, some hand wavy stuff to explain what happens in the time jump, and then same quality for 2 to 3 seasons that gets us to an end. And the ending is basically what we saw in the series. And it's still like somewhat satisfying because we had a few seasons to kind of like reestablish where they were at when they pick up in book 10 or whatever, after
Oh, don't
the
pick up.
time
No,
jump.
book 10 is not where you pick up.
I,
Book 10
I,
is
I was just throwing it out there. We don't,
I
No,
know.
you pick up book 12. You pick up book 12.
book 11. Dude, do not
sorry.
put
Yeah.
disrespect on Knife of Dreams.
Okay, my
How
bad.
dare
Pick up a
you.
Knife of
I know.
Dreams.
They would need
Adapt
to.
the
How
last
dare
four.
you.
Adapt the last 4 books, and so if that happened, I wouldn't like love it, but I would be in support of seeing that finish in that way. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm
You,
at too.
you too, Ben.
I
You
think
too,
if
Ben.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. You already know that I hate
Yeah.
inconclusive endings, though, Jake. This has been
Yeah, but you already have a better ending in the books. So
The only thing, Jake, the only thing that would help with is okay, without doing spoilers, what we thought might happen at the end with the docs and the like that scene, that would help with that situation if they did it that way. Because,
mean?
then
Yeah,
they
it
wouldn't
would.
have to have a gap.
Oh, because of
Yeah.
actors.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's kind of weird. I don't want to get into spoilers, but like some plot decisions for season 2 I thought was taking place of that, and then I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird
All right.
decisions.
All right.
But yeah,
So
you guys
yeah,
know
we'll do
yeah.
reviews of season 3 episodes. We'll see how many we do. I don't think we'll devote like weekly episodes, but we'll do, at least 2 or 3. And we'll see if we can raise Jake's love for the TV show at all. I hope so, man. Like honestly, if this season
I
doesn't
hope
make you
so. I
like
hope
it
so
anyway,
too.
then it's like there's no hope. This is really the only hope for making you like this season, making you like the series more.
A new hope.
Yeah, I hope so as
The
well. I
only
mean,
hope.
I watch all the episodes, just trying to be one back. It's like every time someone releases a new UFO video, I'm like, I'm gonna watch it. I want to be convinced. But
And then man, it's so similar, man. A UFO, then we go on Discord and we argue about it for a day, and then both of us are frustrated, and we neither one of us change our opinion
I'm
at
not
all.
frustrated. I'm just like, how does Josh not understand how this was obviously a hoax?
All right, if you want to chat with us more, tell us about your beliefs in UFOs or not, you can join our Discord. Episode or invites to that are below in the episode description. We'll chat about, Wheel of Time TV, books, whatever. There's a lot going on in 2025, and I feel like our Discord is kind of a fun place to be. So check that out, and let us know in the comments what we messed up. I'm sure, there's a lot of details in Wheel of Time, so we're not going to get everything right. Anyway, all right, people of Dragon, see you later.
Yeah.
See ya.